We got roots. So this is our veg room, and this is the next crop. As you can see, some of these plants are pretty big. It's time to transplant some of these plants, and we're going to do so. The little yellow pads down there are sticky traps. We had gnat infestation that we got from root soil, but we took care of it with a nematode soil drench. And you can see there's only a few gnats now, not that many. At first they were covering the traps like carpet. So we're going to talk about this some more, and as we mix up the soil. Right now we're going to take some of these plants outside and get everything prepped up to transplant some of these larger plants. In this shot you can see that the super soil has started to form a nice web on top. And this blue sponge is predatory nematodes that I have mixed into 2 gallons of water, so 1 million predatory nematodes mixed into water and applied to the super soil. The reason we're doing this is because the soils this year seem to be coming with gnats. We'll talk about that more. This is how we treat it. A little nematode soil drench. So they get down in there and take care of the eggs and everything. Takes care of the problem. Now this is super soil that's been sitting from last fall and through the winter, and it's been sitting about 6 months now. So this is what we'll be using today on our transplant. I think we need a little cleanup here. Clean up on aisle 1. And the cleanup has been completed by the amazing bean counter. So now we're going to bring the trays in, get them all set out, and then we'll commence with some transplanting. Hope you guys are enjoying today's show. Catch trays are essential when using soil, because when you water, the water will run right through the light medium. And when using nice catch trays, the water will run through, but then it'll wick back up. Also, when I'm going out into the woods or on a trip or wherever, I can fill the pots up with water, let them overflow, and let them standing in water. It gives me about 4 days away from each room. Welcome to transplanting. So today we're going to try something new. We've got bean counter operating the camera, right, bean counter? Okay, cool. So we're just going to take our super soil and we're going to load it into our pots. These are 7-gallon pots. I just use a little 1-gallon container. There's many ways you could do this. And we're going to fill these up about halfway with super soil. You guys can get super soil recipe offline. You can just go to Google, type Subcool super soil recipe. It's hosted on High Times, Cannabis Culture, many forums. It's been featured in magazines. But the current recipe is up on High Times magazine. So it's just hightimes.com/subcool. Now, people talk about cost. Cost of super soil, the way it's used here. You know, I can do each one of these pots for about $15 with just the super soil, and then of course the roots on top. So you're looking at about $20 a piece. Okay, today we're going to be using All Mix Light, which is BioBiz, as our base soil. Normally we would be using Roots. Roots, Aurora Company, is using Sunlight Supply for shipping, and they're storing this soil as well as many other soils outdoors next to a garbage dump. And this year's infested with gnats. The gnats don't necessarily eat your plants, but they can definitely cause a problem. They can eat the roots, slow them down. They're just generally a mess. So Roots has been really nice about everything. They shipped me a product to treat it with, to take care of the gnats. It's an OMRI approved bacteria. We also did a soil drench on all the super soil we've made up. But the BioBiz is an imported product from Holland, so it comes in through U.S. Agricultural Customs, and it's got no bugs in it. So this is a great product. It's not as strong as the Roots, and this is the light mix. The all mix is stronger, but we still don't feel it's as good a product as Roots. So this is a nice alternative for us. Okay, so now we're going to just put a little bit of our buffer mix in each pot. And then we're going to stir it in, working it into the super soil. So what we're doing is we're letting our plants gently work their way into the hotter soil. And now we're simply going to top them off. So we're going to grab some soil and some plants. We'll be right back. So we're going to start with the Apollo 13. You can see this plant's pretty good size. If I let it go any longer in this one small pot, it'll probably start getting some yellowing. So now it's time to transplant it. I watered this plant very well before I started so the root ball will hold together. Take it in my hand. Nice root ball. But you can see that it hasn't really grown together in a ball yet. It's very loose. So as I've been trying to explain to you guys before I had a camera guy, this thing's so loose that it hasn't even formed that coil that I don't really like. I think that slows the plant down. So I like to say we're transplanting this plant before it even knows it was transplanted. It never knows it was in a smaller pot. And as you can see, I'm leaving about 2 or 3 inches here of room for top dressing at a later time. Now you can see that we have the 6 plants transplanted, and these are some of the slowest growing plants, so that's why they've been transplanted first, so they can establish themselves. Make sure you follow along and watch them grow. "24 hours later, plants are looking happy, standing up at attention. These plants right here will be transplanted later. They grow faster. Right under the center of the light, we've got Urkel, and we've got JTR, benefiting the most from the light intensity. So we're going to track these clones, progress every few days. So I think this should be a fun little project. You can see how well the plants have responded in just a few days. They're settling into the new 1000 watt Hortilux Blue veg light. It's really good for short growth, short internodal spacing. So everything's just going fine here. It's only been a week since we did the work on these plants. As you can see, they fill the space nicely. In just a few days, I'll actually be dragging these into the larger veg area so that they can spread out and not be restricted. Today these plants will be moved into a larger area, spread out so they have room to grow where they're not touching. Plants yield much better when they are not crowded. So I've been working hard to clear the other room of the budded plants and got the patients to take care of. So these plants are going to be moved a little later today and we'll record it for you guys. Here's the last view. Bedroom 1. We have now moved the plants into the larger area. You can see that they're not nearly as crammed together. This is a good thing. We separated the plants into 2 rooms. Tiny, Cheese, Jack's Cleaner, Jack the Ripper, Urkel, and Black Cherry Soda. And in this room you can see we've only left 4 plants. Lots of room for them to spread out. This pretty much ends this portion of this video. And stay tuned for part 2, which will be called Watching the Plants Grow.